All right, we are live, 2:30 East Coast time. Big announcement. Maybe some of you figured out what was going to be discussed today. Press releases went out. We have a new CEO at Automotive Masterminds. His name is Aaron Baldwin. Aaron, welcome to the live stream.
Brian, thank you so much, and I appreciate you having me.
Well, first of all, congratulations. You were previously the Chief Product Officer at Automotive Masterminds, correct?
That's correct, yes.
So I'm assuming that part of this change is due to the announcement that we made at the Digital Marketing Strategies Conference that S&P Global was going to spin off the mobility division into a publicly traded company. Was this the trigger for this change in management, Aaron?
It wasn't the full trigger of it, and I don't want to tell too much of Matt's story, but the timing was aligned. We did feel like the timing on, Matt transitioning to his new opportunity, me stepping into this role, timed along with the announcement with mobility spinning off. It was right to time the two events together.
Right. And, I did speak to Matt yesterday. I'm excited for his trajectory. We'll definitely have to have him on my podcast in the coming weeks. Aaron, for people who are not familiar with what the new public company is going to be comprised of, can you give us a little high-level overview, and where does Automotive Masterminds fit into the three kind of product categories that the new public company will be focused on?
Yeah, happy to, Brian. And so as we saw in that announcement, there's three main categories that were announced as part of that. You have new vehicle sales and marketing, and that is the category that Automotive Mastermind fits in. Planning and strategy, which has been a very large part of the Automotive Insights business. That's really focused on all the data that's behind how many cars should a manufacturer build, where are all these parts coming from, even down to raw materials, and figuring out what does sourcing look like in the geopolitical environment, how does that affect raw sourcing, and then the used car and service side of the business, which is Carfax.
Right.
And for those of you not familiar with the full sales and marketing side, which I mentioned is where Automotive Mastermind fits inside of this, there's also parts of the Automotive Insights business that fits into this, and that's your legacy Polk Automotive Solutions.
Right.
Market Scan is also kind of part of that. So we've all been working very well together and integrating very well together, and this is just going to be a great continuation of that.
Well, Aaron, you and I have been working together very closely this past 18 months because we have a shared client, the Morgan Auto Group. And one of the things I wanted to be very clear is that you brought an innovative idea, Matt, and you sat down with me and you said, hey, we can help Morgan's CDP project, which is built on the Telium data infrastructure, with not just the traditional package of Automotive Masterminds as an activation tool, but as a data hygiene partner to bring in the BPS scores into each customer record to really elevate all marketing, not just the marketing that Masterminds is doing. I'm really excited about this piece. Can you talk about the vision that Masterminds has in helping dealer groups with their first-party data management strategy?
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. I'm glad you asked the question. When we look back at the history of Mastermind and ultimately what our mission was to predict and engage every car buyer. In order to predict who's going to purchase a vehicle, what vehicle they're going to purchase, and at what price, you've really got to get good at understanding who these customers are. So that's taking in the dealer's data from their DMS, from CRM, understanding web traffic, but then blending all of that data together and then making sure it is the most up-to-date and it's the cleanest record that you can baseline yourself on before attempting to even run these types of predictions. So all of that work that we've put in over the years to build a sophisticated data platform that understands how to automate the intake of this data, to, really clean it up, understand where we have relationships across different customers, across different stores within a dealer group, and layer all of the third-party data that we have across all of the different mobility companies. That takes a lot of effort. That takes a big team. It takes quite a bit. But as we think about that, we implemented our use case on it, which was an activation strategy, as you mentioned, to engage those that are most likely to purchase with a very direct one-to-one offer. But within that data itself, and especially as CDPs became more prevalent inside of automotive, and as you engaged us with the Morgan Auto project, the CDPs were trying to solve a lot of these same challenges, and that presented other challenges to say, well, now I've got to figure out how to blend this data, merge it, stitch it, understand it, and I need to go out to this provider to grab hygiene, this provider to understand whether they still own the car or not, and all of that was processing in our systems today. So could we expose a data endpoint to be able to bring that same goodness that we created for ourselves out into the CDP environments, into other parts of the operational workflow for dealers. And so that's what we did inside of Morgan, and have done it for a few other dealer groups now. And we really love this challenge. We love this challenge because we are very good at managing data, and we're very good at predicting on data. It's one of the kind of the core part of our business. So how can we get that goodness out into the ecosystem?
Yeah. And one of the things, that was an eye opener for me, because really before working with you and Matt, I didn't understand how Automotive Masterminds was doing it. And then the revelation is you're a single use case or a multiple use case focus CDP. And I said, hey, listen, Telium's the best activation platform, a real-time audience builder, but we need clean data. We need self-healing data. And since you guys were already doing it, the bonus for me was that we get to each month, we update every customer record with a BPS score. That means in the channels that Masterminds doesn't currently activate, whether it's social media or connected TV or, Google advertising, we can run campaigns with the BPS score as part of the targeting, and the performance was like boop. And I was like, okay, this makes sense. This is why Masterminds was successful as a product. No one understood it was really a first-party management tool with high levels of data insights and business intelligence. Aaron, when new CEOs come in, there's a tendency, right, to kind of upend the apple cart and spill a lot of the apples on the ground. You and Matt seem to be working seamlessly, at least on the projects that we've been working on. Do you see any big changes as you step into this new role?
No, Brian, absolutely not. This is a fantastic company, a fantastic organization. We're comprised of amazing people that we call masterminds, right? And there's no reason to really consider any kind of big change. We're growing very, very rapidly. We're doing great things for the industry that I think the industry is responding to very well. That's very high quality, and we have a great team. So no, I guess my basic answer to that is no.
I think Tom Moore from Morgan Auto Group, who's the COO, will be happy to hear that. Only because when you realize the value of first-party data, the fact that we have a self-healing data ecosystem with your partnerships, as you mentioned, with Polk and TransUnion and NCOA and other data appending tools, we have seen that the CDP with clean data that's always being updated really outperforms anything that we've seen in the past. And you've been a great partner in that activation story. Aaron, if you wanted to make a single statement to talk to the dealers who maybe think of Automotive Masterminds, or, they're an equity mining product, or anybody can do what they're doing, what would you say about this 10 plus years of business intelligence development, data hygiene, optimization. What would you want to tell those dealers in case maybe they need a refresh on what Masterminds could do for their dealership or dealer group?
Yeah, thanks for asking the question, Brian. And that's a challenging one. One statement to summarize that. You're really challenging me this afternoon.
Well, what would you tell them? If you had a minute with a dealer who said, "Oh yeah, Masterminds, you're that equity mining company," how would you shift their understanding?
Yeah, I think the best way I could think to shift that understanding is say, one, we're a lot more than that, and we're a lot more than that because as we started off in equity mining and really helped define that space, to continue being relevant and to continue evolving, we had to get better and better at predicting who is going to purchase a car, and equity just became an input to that. So the foundational part of that is starting off with super clean, very predictable data that is combined together, and that is not an easy task to achieve. And then layering, a decades-long machine learning algorithm that's really, checking itself and self-validating around what its success looks like. I'll share an interesting data point with you on this that I think tells the story very cleanly, and it's around lease maturities. Most folks look at lease maturities as a pure time-based trigger.
Right.
The average attributed sale that is generated from Mastermind, marketing that goes out on a lease maturity customer, the average customer has 13 payments remaining. So we're actually transacting that customer over a year ahead of their maturity date on average.
Wow. That's amazing. And I know that part of that is the presentation of accurate offers and payments and alternative vehicles. One of the other things that, I've learned about you because we're implementing that at Morgan was that now that you're integrated in this CDP ecosystem, you can also now get in market, on website signals for those unpredictable buying journeys. So, for example, somebody gets a promotion or somebody finds out they're having another child. Those things are hard to predict. But now when that customer comes back with identity resolution, now Masterminds is going to get even better and more effective because those unpredictable signals will be caught if they're out shopping. Would you agree?
Yeah, I absolutely would agree. And one of the pieces of data that's coming into our system is demographic data. So if we do see a material change in somebody's income bracket or a material change in dependence in household, that is something that's layered in the algorithm. But the trick that you're mentioning on this is, what about the car, right? And I'll use myself as a prime example of this. When we were going to have a fourth kid, the fourth kid wasn't there yet, so you can't see it in the demographic data yet. We're going from shopping, a normal, SUV that can support 3 car seats to, now minivans, because how are you going to get 4 car seats?
Wagon came in your consideration set.
That's exactly right. And I don't think you're going to look at somebody who is driving a Mercedes GLE and predict that they're going to go into a Honda Odyssey without actually seeing the behavior.
But that's the beauty of now Masterminds being able to bring in website, because with the identity pixel and obviously your partnership with TransUnion, you have household identity pixel and individual. You could say, hey, this person's oddly enough back on the website. They're not in our predictive model, but they're looking at vans. Boom, outreach can immediately be triggered. They don't even have to fill out a lead form. That's the power of this partnership of Masterminds and dealers who really want to maximize their first party data.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is being layered into the predictive models now, right? So if we are seeing that actual shopping behavior, we are increasing our in-market probability. We're reducing time to market as part of our calculations and our algorithms. So it is being directly reflected in the algorithms as well. But also, to your point, the hard data point is also there.
Love it. Well, Aaron, I'm excited for you. Listen, I've tracked your career. We first met with the CarNow team as you were part of their leadership team. You went to Masterminds. We started working together, and now this really elevated opportunity for you to lead a great organization. So congratulations. I'm looking forward to seeing your growth in this leadership role. And more importantly, thanks for supporting dealer education at our conferences, just leaning in when I ask, hey, can you help out these dealer groups? Thanks for just being a great partner for my consulting work and also for dealer education. It's really appreciated.
Thank you so much, Brian. And, thank you for you and anybody who's out there really wanting to educate dealers on a lot of this stuff that's going on. It's a complex environment. And I think you do a wonderful job of being able to summarize what these very complex worlds look like and how to best navigate them.
Well, I want to thank everyone who's listened in on the live stream. If you're watching this video after the live stream, feel free to share it with your friends, send our comments, and put a little note of congratulations to Aaron. That's it for now. Time to get back to work. I'm sure your plate is full, Aaron. So, hey, thanks for your time and breaking a little time in your schedule for me.
No problem, Brian. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thanks.
I'll
wave to the control booth. Yeah, thanks, guys.